This is NewsHour live from the BBC in London. I'm Audrey Brown. And now to Colombia, where they've been marking their National Day of Remembrance and Solidarity. It's also known as Victims' Day and pays tribute to the millions of victims of kidnappings, displacement, arbitrary killings, all the effect of a long-standing armed conflict between the government and several guerrilla groups. But in the last 2 months alone, 274,000 Colombians have been affected. So why has the violence not stopped in spite of a peace agreement? Francesco Volpi is the Colombia director for the Norwegian Refugee Council.
What's happening is a variety of armed groups are expanding the territorial gains in the country, especially in the western coast of the country. And this territorial expansion is causing violence in the communities, causing displacements, is causing first curfews among a number of other affectations and violence within the region. On top of that, we have examples and unfortunate examples, episodes of natural disasters within the same areas, flooding caused by La Niña phenomenon. So it's a very complex, multi-layered crisis that this part of Colombia is living.
And can you tell us exactly how it affects communities?
It can vary from community to community. There are examples when these first curfews can last only a few weeks, and others when they can last months, and in one community up to a year. What does this mean? That people do not have free movement, don't have access to their livelihoods. The fields around their communities are often mined, so it's for them dangerous to plant crops. Often the communications with other communities in the rest of the country is cut. They don't have access to water or electricity, and very often this community leave because of the violence, because of the crossfires, and so they are caught in a constant circle and cycle of displacement and further violence. We have examples of one community called Maguipayan, the department of Nariño, that in the last 5.5 years, so since the peace agreements were signed, has suffered 40 episodes of displacements. That will mean one roughly every 40 days.
So that means that their children can't go to school, they can't work?
That is correct, and also means that in this community, humanitarian access is very, very strained. It's something we need to visibilize and ask the armed actors involved in the conflict, the government, and the global community to help us have more access to these communities to provide these basic services.
Why are people still being affected in this way? I thought that there was a peace agreement that was signed about 5 years ago or so.
Well, the peace agreement was signed with one specific actor, and there are a number of other actors that have taken a more present role, unfortunately, in the conflict and expanded the territorial gains in the same region and taken over from where that actor was present.
And is there any chance of it getting better, or is it just getting worse?
Well, if you see the figures from just the last 2 months of this year, if you compare to the same 2 months of 2021, we have a 621% increase of the different affectations of the conflict in the same region, 621%. So I think that the trend for 2022 doesn't look too good, but we do have hope that the new government and the new Senate that will be formed in the next few months, with great opportunity for them to focus on these communities and really focus on de-escalating the conflict with these armed groups and guarantee more peace. But the government needs to play a very central role in de-escalating the conflict, as I said. The new government has the opportunity to do so and to focus their agenda on this issue. I think the global community, as it happened before with peace agreement, can play a very vital role in allowing for this to happen. And generally speaking, we need to focus our efforts on a collective response in these areas, where we can provide, together with the government, local authorities, UN agencies, the Red Cross, and humanitarian organizations such as the Norwegian Refugee Council, provide full access, to complete infrastructure, not just limited schooling and limited health, really provide a full service. The government there needs to play a very vital role, but it needs support, it needs more resources from the global community, from the different donors in the country, in the region.
How difficult is it to be heard when the war in Ukraine is taking up all the international space?
It is quite complex, and we really think that the Colombian conflict is a bit forgotten and is falling in the memory lane. And today is the day for remembrance of the victims of this conflict. And it's very important to, of course, stress the memory of this conflict, but not forget about the presence and the present of what's happening in these regions and the affectation of these people. So occasions like this to speak to you is just a very, very important example, an occasion to visibilize what's happening in Colombia and what's happening in this community. I would really hope that the government puts this as a central item in the agenda, the condition of these people and the needs of these people.
Francesco Volpi, Colombia Director for the Norwegian Refugee Council.